Alright, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be previewing the second round of the NBA playoff. They start tonight, and hopefully, we get some more good basketball. We're going to preview the second round here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so all support around the channel will be very much appreciated. Links to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So, second round starts today. We have 3 of the 4 matchups already set. We still have a Game 7 tonight between the Warriors and Rockets to determine who will play the Timberwolves in the second round, but we're still going to preview it. We'll start with East, and we'll get it kind of done quickly. First, Cavs-Pacers, the game we have tonight, first game of the second round. The Cavs, they end up sweeping the Miami Heat. Indiana wins in 5 over Milwaukee. This series, I mean, the Cavs were just so dominant in that first round. It's hard to take anything really away in that series or what the Cavs were doing specifically. It was more just the Cavs being 10 times better than Miami Heat. And obviously now they're going to be facing a way better team in the Indiana Pacers, who just got some really good wins. But I still believe the Cavs are going to be able to handle business. I think the size of the Cavs with Mobley and Allen, that kind of front court right there, could be a lot for this team. I mean, the Pacers defense was good in the first round against the Bucks, but there's a whole another monster going up against the Cavs. Look at the Bucks role players and the Cavs role players, 2 completely separate planets. You know, it's not going to be a 1-on-5 out there. And I'm also very interested to see who in Indiana, how they guard the backcourt of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. You know, who gets those assignments? I assume it's probably going to be Nesmith and Nembhard. I'm thinking, like, how well are those 2 guards going to be able to contain, Garland and Mitchell with the way they've been playing? Even though Darius Garland's not 100% with his toe, he's still going to be a factor in this game. And Donovan Mitchell, we know how he gets down in the playoffs. I think the battle of the benches would be very interesting to see. You know, with the Pacers having a very high scoring bench with Mathurin, Toppin, T.J. McConnell, Cleveland having Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, Sam Merrill. Like, I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup there. And ultimately, I got the Cavs winning this series. I just think they have too much for the Pacers. Not saying the Pacers are a bad team. It's just I think Cleveland has a lot for them. You know, again, the Pacers defense hasn't been super horrible, but also how much can I trust this Pacer defense going up against a team like the Cavs that have a bunch of bodies, a bunch of bodies, a bunch of dudes that can come out there and, get things going, some size to them. Like, how much can that happen? And for the Pacers, yeah, it really is just about guarding. How much can they guard? And also, how much can Tyrese Halliburton really be a factor in this series as well? I feel like for this series, Tyrese Halliburton is going to have to be a scorer. They can't just rely on them hitting 18, 19 threes in games and stuff like that, especially against a Cavaliers team that also has a high-powered offense. So it's really going to come down to defense, and I trust the Cavaliers defense more than I trust the Indiana Pacers defense. It's really a big thing at the end of the day. I really do think Tyrese Halliburton's going to have a big series if Indiana wants to pull this off. I think Halliburton's going to have games of 20, 25 points. Like, he's going to have to score a lot, especially, like, yeah, he's going to have to score a lot. And ultimately, I got the Cavs winning in 5. I think Indiana can win a game solely based off they just have offensive nights sometimes, and sometimes they have nights where they shoot 55, 60% for the field. And when that's going like that, it's hard to beat them. So I think the Pacers can definitely win at least one game just because they have a hot shooting night. But ultimately, I got the Cavs take care of business and winning this series. Hopefully, we get some fun moments. Hopefully, we get some high scoring, fun games. But ultimately, I got the Cavs winning this one. Next series out east, Celtics, Knicks. The Celtics beat the Magic in 5. The Knicks hold off the Pistons in 6 games. We saw what happened in the regular season, where the Celtics absolutely dominated the Knicks in the regular season. And I expect something similar to come out in the playoffs. The Knicks, we've seen, just don't really have the depth that Boston has. They don't have the perimeter defense that Boston has to combat with Boston, really. And yeah, it's just Celtics have been able to take care of the Knicks. And even though in the first round, the Magic were able to keep in basically almost every game because of their toughness and their defense and their physicality, the Knicks do not have that same physicality as the Magic do. So I'm very interested to see how the Knicks can hold up in this series. And how Boston comes out in this series. Because Boston definitely, it looked like they got agitated at points with the Magic just because how physical they were and all this stuff. With the Knicks, it's not going to be like that. Really, it's not gonna be a physical, bump, 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 bump type of series. And also, again, better competition against the Knicks. Against a guy like Jalen Brunson who will give you 40. So I'm very interested to see how the Celtics come out and how they approach this series in terms of, because I feel like in almost every game, well, basically every game in the Magic series, they came out in the first half and kind of just were like out there, just kind of playing. But the Knicks, I don't know if you can necessarily do that. Again, even though the Knicks don't play the same as the Magic, the Knicks have more offensive firepower than the Magic. The Knicks can get hot, and Jalen Brunson can get hot. Early in the game, Quantum Towns can have a game where he hits 6 or 7 threes. So I'm very interested to see how the Celtics come out and how they approach this series. But ultimately, I think the Celtics should be able to take care of business as well against the Knicks. I just think the Celtics are way better. The depth is way better. The defense is way better. And I don't know if the Knicks have enough. I don't know if the Knicks just have the right recipes to face off and go up against the Celtics. If the Knicks do have a chance, obviously Jalen Brunson's gonna have to continue to be the playoff monster he is, but also he's gonna need everybody. It can't just be Jalen Brunson ball. Because if you're playing against a team like Boston who could come out and hit 17, 18 threes and everyone can get involved, it's tough to beat that with just one dude. So Karl-Anthony Towns is gonna have to have maybe 30-point games in this series. OG Anunoby's gonna have to have big 20-point games. Yeah, Bridges gonna have 20-point games. Josh Hart's gonna have to do something on the offensive end. And it's gonna be it's a lot to ask for the Knicks. It's a lot to ask. I got Boston winning in 5 ultimately. I think the Knicks can definitely get a game just because, Celtics can have a bad shooting night and Jalen Brunson can have a big scoring night and that can equate to a Knicks win. But ultimately I think the Celtics should be able to take care of business and get to the conference finals. Now going out west, this is where we get really, really fun. First series we got OKC, Denver, the Thunder just dismantled the Grizzlies, swept them. They haven't played literally in over a week. While the Nuggets won Game 7 last night against the Clippers, and they'll be facing off. This should be a very interesting match. I mean, the two top MVP candidates, Shea and Jokic, going up against each other should be very, very fun. A team kind of newer to this playoff versus the Nuggets who have been here multiple times before. Nuggets have already won a championship and done their thing. The Thunder are trying to do that this year, so it's a very interesting matchup. I'm thinking one thing I'm very concerned about for the Nuggets is their perimeter defense because Shea Gillis, I don't think no one on the Nuggets can really hold Shea one on one. I know Shea is not somebody that anyone can really hold one on one, but especially in this series, Shea can have some crazy big nights. Like I won't be surprised if Shea averages like 33, 34 points per game this series because I don't know who. I mean, he's probably gonna get the Christian Brown assignment, I assume. And I think Shea. I mean, he got off to a slow start in the first round series. The first 3 games, he was kind of just like, you know, out there, not really shooting the ball well. Game 4, he started to really find a stride, and that was a week ago. But I do believe he can have a huge series against Denver. And I think the way the role players carried him in the first round series, Shea can carry a lot of the role players in the second round. But again, the role players also are going to be big difference. Chet, I think, could be a big impact in this series in terms of his defense on Jokic and obviously offensive. I feel like when Chet Holmgren has it going offensively, the Thunder are not going to be beaten because Chet is such like a big X factor in terms of the two-way ability he has, and if he's really locked in the two-way ability, obviously it's a lot to handle Jokic. He's not going to be able. Jokic is also one of those guys you just can't guard one-on-one. You're not going to be able to hold him in check at all. But if check just make things a little bit difficult, while also providing what he does in the offensive end, I think is big. Jalen Williams obviously going to have a big series. It's really going to be a battle of the number twos, Jamal Murray and Jalen Williams or Chet, one of those two for OKC. Because obviously Jamal Murray is going to have huge games in this series. The Thunder are just a great team. Like they have good perimeter defenders and all that stuff. Jamal Murray's gonna have to lock in and not have any like duds for the Nuggets to win this series. Jamal Murray's gonna have to playoff Jamal. He's gonna have to take clutch shots. He's gonna have to be on that type of timing in the series because OKC, this is a different monster than the Clippers. Even though the Clippers were a really good team, this is a different monster. And so Jamal Murray's gonna have to really be locked in. And it's really gonna be a battle of who forces more turnovers and who can get easier transition points, honestly. Because I mean, the Thunder defense has just been so elite this season, especially in that first round against the Grizzlies. If Thunder can really force the Nuggets into being in the half court and cause chaos that way, I think it really, really, really benefits them. If the Nuggets, they're really gonna have to try to force turnovers to get out in transition and run. And I feel like whoever can win that battle in terms of who could dictate the pace more, the Thunder forcing Denver to be more in the half court, while the Nuggets getting out in transition and forcing Thunder to run a little bit more on defense. I think that can really benefit whoever wins that matchup, obviously. I think obviously the Nuggets role players have been a big question in the series. For OKC's role players, you have guys like Isaiah Joe come off the bench and have big threes. Casey Wallace is going to provide a lot of energy off the bench. You know, Jalen Williams has looked pretty good in this series as well. It's going to be very tough, and especially when OKC runs the two big lineup of Hartenstein and Holmgren to combat against Jokic. It's going to be, I think, pretty difficult for Denver to try to find their shot, especially getting to the rim. You know, so yeah. Ultimately, I got OKC winning this series. I have it in about 5, 6 games. I think it's gonna be very entertaining 6 games. I think we're gonna get some good moments in this 6 games. But ultimately, I just know I don't think Denver has enough offensive firepower to keep up, or even deep. I just don't think Nuggets keep up with the Thunder in a series. In a game or two, yeah. In a full series, I think OKC just has too much for Denver to handle. Denver got by the Clippers. Clippers also didn't play well a lot of moments, and Denver got a lot of kind of like a weird wins where things went their way. OKC's too good of a team. I don't know if Denver's going to be able to get wins like that too often as opposed to against the Clippers. Because OKC, we saw, can just get hot and be up by 25 at halftime just like that. Just because the way their team they have, they could just force turnovers, get out, run, Shea's going off, you know, J-Dub's hitting threes, Chet's hitting threes, Isaiah Joe hits a couple threes, all of a sudden it's like an avalanche. Once it starts for OKC, it's very tough to slow down. And I don't know if Denver is ready for that yet. Even though they are, again, experienced, they are going to put up a fight. It's going to be a good series. Ultimately, I got OKC. I would say in 6 games. I give Denver 2 wins just because Jokic could put together a masterpiece and have a crazy game. But ultimately, I think OKC is going to be able to win this series. And the final match we have, we don't know for sure yet. We know it's going to be Minnesota, but they're going to play either Golden State or Houston. So I'm going to go through both teams. If the Warriors survive and win Game 7, Minnesota, Golden State, I think it'd be a very, very fun series. I mean, Anthony Edwards, Steph Curry, those two names right there. The NBA is probably salivating over having that as a matchup. But in terms of like actual basketball playing wise, I think Minnesota could do something similar to what they do against the Lakers, where their size could be a factor. I mean, you see what Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun with that lineup's doing out there. Minnesota just plays like that. Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle and Naz Reid, those guys just play regularly out there. That's gonna be just like what they do. So, especially with the way Julius Randle's been playing in the series, Rudy Gobert coming off that game 5, if he can be anything close to that in this series against Golden State, I think it would be huge for Minnesota, getting extra possessions, extra opportunities. And this Minnesota team is different from this Rockets team where Rockets get extra opportunities. You know, it might not be greatest. Minnesota, you cannot give a guy like Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, you cannot give them extra opportunities because they're going to be able to capitalize with the way they've been playing. The defensive schemes, I think Minnesota, you know, putting bodies on Steph, having guys like Nickeil Alexander Walker, Donte DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels, even Anthony Edwards for a possession or two if they need to guard him. Like having that is going to be big. And Minnesota's role players have really stepped up. I mean, Jaden McDaniels has been aggressive. Julius Randle has looked really, really good. You get timely shots from Naz Reid, Nickeil, and Donte DiVincenzo. Golden State's role players have been kind of on and off in this series. And if they do win this series and go off against Minnesota, I think Minnesota's role players can outplay Golden State's Warriors. I think they've been more Golden State's role players. They've been more consistent, and I just trust them more. I trust more of them. I think the X factors in this series for Golden State, obviously, it's gonna have to be the role players. Like it's gonna have to be Brandon Pajemski knocking down shots, Moses Moody knocking down shots, Gary Payton providing something, Quinn Post knocking down shots, because we know what Minnesota can do. You know, and for Minnesota, I think it would be Julius. It's kind of like what I said in the first round series: Julius Randle or Jaden McDaniels, one of those two. If one of those two, or maybe if both of them do, GG's. But if at least one of them could continue that same aggressiveness and that same intensity that they play with against the Lakers, like if Julius Randle can really pop off and Julius Randle can get to the cup and kind of play maybe a similar role to what Golden State wants from Jimmy Butler, where Jimmy Butler's aggressive, getting to the free throw line, you know, making plays, doing all that stuff. If Julius Randle could be something similar to that, where he's getting to the rim, he's getting to the free throw line, he's making threes, he's making plays, he's rebounding the ball. Like, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Golden State kind of combats that against Minnesota. So ultimately, if it's Minnesota Golden State, I got Minnesota winning this series in about 6 games. Because I think Minnesota is just really hot right now. I think the things they're doing is just huge, you know, and I think their others are going to be able to, you know, take advantage of the Warriors' others, and their size is going to be a big factor again. If it's the Rockets and the Rockets complete the comeback and win and go and play Minnesota, the battle of size is going to be there. I think Minnesota is going to be able to just have more of a take more advantage of what Houston does. You know, Minnesota has more athleticism to them, more size to them that can combat with Houston. You know, the Şengün and Steven Adams lineups might not work as well against Minnesota when you have Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert in there. All four of those guys are going to be crashing the glass. It's going to be a bloodbath down there in that paint around the rim. I think the inconsistencies of Jalen Green is going to really show in this series because Minnesota has a lot of players where you can't really hide a Jalen Green. If you put Jalen Green on a Jaden McDaniels has shown already in the first round series, he's not afraid to attack the basket and get to the rim. You know, like he did against Luka Doncic, he can do it against Jalen Green. And again, Houston doesn't have a whole lot of offensive firepower. Minnesota has Anthony Edwards. I mean, Anthony Edwards, we know for sure in this series can pop off and have 35, 40-point games and hit some clutch shots. And again, that's another big factor in the clutch. Houston has not been a great team in terms of the last 5 minutes. It's a 2-point game, get the win. Minnesota has done that in the first round. They have a guy in Anthony Edwards who they're going to give the ball to and they're going to trust, and they know he can pop off and he can do his thing. I think some X factors in the series for Houston. Once again, I think it's Jaden McDaniels. You know, if Jaden McDaniels can be aggressive and take advantage of those matchups, if it's not Dylan Brooks guarding him, you know, if it's a smaller like Jalen Green or Fred VanVleet maybe sometimes guarding him, like I think Jaden McDaniels being able to take advantage of that, being able to get to the bucket, being able to be another factor on offense for Minnesota, or Houston doesn't have a lot of offensive factors, you know, that can keep in the game. I think Minnesota, I think that's going to be big. For the Rockets, I mean, the obvious thing is going to be, you know, Jalen Green getting more consistent. But also, I think it's going to have to be Houston winning the size battle. It's going to be tough to win. I mean, it's going to be tough because Minnesota, again, have Rudy. Julius Randle's a willing rebounder. Now Rudy's a big body down there as well. But if Houston could keep that same physicality and still be able to win the rebounding battle and get extra opportunities, I think that would be huge for Houston to not let the size kind of take over when it comes to the Timberwolves. Ultimately, I got Minnesota winning the series against Houston in 5 games, maybe 6. I just think Minnesota has more for Houston. It can take advantage of what Houston does more than what Golden State is trying with Houston as well. So ultimately, I got Minnesota winning. Whoever wins this game 7, I think Minnesota's winning. I think Minnesota in that first round showed the world that they are here, they're for real, they're a very dangerous team. And the way that they're rolling right now and the way they're just playing basketball and what I see from them, I love what I see. And I think Minnesota should be able to take care of whoever wins out of Golden State, Houston, whoever makes it to the next round. I think Minnesota should be able to take care of them. But yeah, very excited for the second round. Hopefully we get some more amazing basketball. And yeah, we also got a game 7. So I'm very excited for that. Where last night's game 7 was a dud. So hopefully tonight's game 7 is good. But yeah, very excited. Cannot wait. But yeah, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. Once again, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So all support on the channel will be very much appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.